Welcome to the world of science fiction stories, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe my channel. Enjoy the listening. Aliens warned humans are relentless, don't provoke them. The Galactic Council had made their decision. The massive war fleet, bristling with advanced weaponry and shielded with technology far beyond the reach of most civilizations, had been dispatched. Their target, Earth. Admiral Varric stood on the command deck of the flagship, staring out into the endless expanse of space. His orders were clear: subjugate the human race, seize their planet, and secure its resources for the greater glory of the Zarnath Empire. He had no reason to doubt the Council's orders, nor the intelligence that painted humans as primitive, chaotic, and barely capable of interstellar travel. Yet there was a nagging feeling in his gut, an unease that he couldn't shake off. "Admiral," his lieutenant called, snapping him out of his thoughts. "We're approaching the Sol system. All units report ready." He gave a curt nod. "Prepare to open communications with Earth's leadership. Let's see if they have the sense to surrender." As the fleet moved into position, a transmission crackled to life on the bridge. The face of an old, battle-worn alien appeared on the holographic screen. His scales were scarred, and one of his eyes was a milky white. "Who are you?" Varric demanded. "Identify yourself." The alien gave a weary chuckle. "Once, I was the supreme commander of the Krakath Armada. Now I'm just a wanderer, a survivor. State your purpose." The old commander's expression turned grim. "I came to warn you, do not attack the humans." Varric scoffed, motioning for the transmission to be cut, but something about the alien's tone stopped him. "You're suggesting that a race barely capable of spaceflight could defeat the might of the Zarnath." The alien sighed, his shoulders sagging as if the weight of past battles still rested on them. "We thought the same once. We had better technology, greater numbers. They fought like animals, like demons. No strategy, no coordination, just pure, unrelenting fury. We burned their cities, destroyed their infrastructure, and every time we thought they were broken, they rose from the ashes, angrier, smarter, more ruthless." Varric raised an eyebrow. "Sounds like poor leadership on your part." The alien's good eye narrowed. "We bombed them from orbit until their continents cracked. Their response: they hacked into our communication relays and played our own victory messages back at us, taunting us. They sabotaged our life support, poisoned our rations, and sent infected corpses drifting into our hangars. They were relentless. It wasn't a war, it was a nightmare." The bridge fell silent. Varric glanced around, seeing the concern on his officers' faces. "What happened to your fleet?" The old commander looked away, his voice dropping to a whisper. "I'm the last one. They never stopped hunting us, even after the war was over, even after we fled the system. They found us one by one. They destroyed every last ship. They will never let you go." Varric felt a chill settle over him. "Why warn us? You could let us fall the same way." The alien's lips twisted into a bitter smile. "Maybe I want to see the Council suffer for sending another fleet to die, or maybe I just don't want anyone else to experience what I did. Leave them alone. Find another world." Before Varric could respond, the transmission cut off, leaving the bridge in an uneasy quiet. The Admiral straightened, clearing his throat. "Send a scouting party to Earth, gather intel, and report back." As his officers moved to obey, Varric couldn't shake the image of that broken commander from his mind. Primitive or not, the humans were clearly dangerous. Yet how could such a race, with their meager technology, bring an empire to its knees? He would find out soon enough. The scouting party consisted of 3 stealth cruisers, small, agile, and nearly invisible to primitive detection systems. Admiral Varric watched from the flagship as they broke formation and glided toward Earth, their cloaking fields shimmering before fading entirely. He knew better than to let fear creep into his mind, but the old commander's warning lingered like a bitter taste. He forced himself to focus on the mission. Perhaps the fool had simply gone mad from years of defeat and isolation. It wouldn't be the first time a disgraced leader had spun tales of invincible enemies. "Admiral," the lieutenant reported, "scouts have reached the planet's orbit and are beginning surface analysis." "Good, maintain radio silence. Let them complete their mission without interference," Varric commanded. The bridge remained tensely quiet as they monitored the faint energy signatures of the scouting vessels. Minutes ticked by without incident. Varric felt his confidence returning. Maybe the humans were just as primitive and chaotic as the Council's intelligence had claimed. Then suddenly, one of the energy signatures flared and vanished from the display. "What happened?" Varric barked, his voice sharp. The lieutenant frantically tapped his console. "Sir, we've lost contact with Cruiser 1, attempting to re-establish connection." A chill crept into Varric's spine. "Deploy a recon probe to their last known location." The crew hurried to comply, but before the probe could launch, another cruiser's signature spiked and disappeared. The remaining ship broke formation, engaging evasive maneuvers. Varric watched in stunned silence as data poured in, radio frequencies spiking, energy readings off the charts. The third cruiser managed to activate its distress signal just as it too vanished. A single burst transmission cut through the static, distorted and barely intelligible. Ambushed! They knew. Trap! No survivors. Varric's hands tightened around the railing, his mind racing. How could the humans have detected their ships? The cloaking technology was decades ahead of anything Earth should possess. "Admiral," the lieutenant said, his voice shaking, "we're picking up signals from the planet. Human transmissions, there, mocking us." Varric's eyes narrowed. "Translate," and projected on the main screen. The screen flickered, displaying a crude yet disturbingly clear message from the surface. "Did you think we wouldn't notice you? Did you think we'd forgotten what your kind did to us? Welcome back. We've been waiting." The message repeated on loop in dozens of human languages, each one dripping with contempt and grim satisfaction. Varric gritted his teeth. "Prepare the fleet for orbital bombardment. We'll burn them out before they can mobilize." As his officers scrambled to carry out the command, the comms station erupted with more activity. The lieutenant hesitated, his face pale. "Admiral, they're transmitting directly to our encrypted channels." "What? That's impossible," Varric snapped. "Put it through." The old commander's face reappeared on the screen, but his tone had changed, now grim and resigned. "You didn't listen, did you? I told you they'll never let you go. You think you're the hunters, but you're already prey." Varric cut the transmission, his frustration boiling over. "Ignore his ravings, prepare the weapons." But before he could give the final order, the lights flickered and dimmed. Alarms blared as system diagnostics flashed across the screens. "Sir," the lieutenant called out, panic rising, "something's infiltrated our network. Our targeting systems are compromised." Varric's stomach twisted. "How? They don't have that capability." An automated message played over the intercom, cold, calm, and distinctly human. "We hacked your systems before you even entered orbit. We've been listening, watching. You wanted to burn us. Now it's your turn." Suddenly, the ship's engines roared to life, but not under Varric's control. The fleet formation broke, ships colliding and weapons firing erratically. One of the smaller frigates exploded, caught in friendly fire as the chaos spread. "Shut down the mainframe," Varric shouted. "Manually override now." But it was too late. The ship's own weapons began to target one another, and the last thing Varric saw on the view screen was Earth, bright and defiant, as fire and debris filled the sky around him. The last thought that crossed his mind before darkness claimed him was a simple, chilling realization. The humans hadn't just prepared for this day, they had been waiting for it. When Admiral Varric awoke, his head throbbed with pain and the metallic scent of burnt circuitry filled his nose. The command deck was in shambles, consoles shattered, wires sparking, and the lifeless bodies of his officers scattered like broken dolls. He forced himself upright, groaning as a sharp pain stabbed through his side. The emergency lights bathed the room in a sickly red glow, and the only sound was the soft hum of the backup generator struggling to maintain minimal power. Varric staggered to the nearest console, his hands trembling as he attempted to assess the situation. The ship's AI flickered on, its voice distorted and glitchy. "Main power offline, primary and secondary weapon systems disabled, communication arrays compromised, hull integrity at 63%. Varric cursed under his breath. He forced the console to display the fleet status, but most ships were either destroyed or floating derelict, cold and dead against the vast emptiness of space. Only a handful of vessels still showed signs of life, but they too were heavily damaged. "How did this happen?" he muttered. He couldn't understand it. A primitive race, barely capable of spaceflight, had just decimated the most formidable fleet the Zarnath Empire had ever sent. Before he could make sense of it, the screen flickered, and the face of the old commander appeared again. Varric's jaw clenched as he stared at the grizzled alien. "You didn't listen," the old commander said, shaking his head. "I warned you. I tried to spare you from their wrath." "What have they done?" Varric growled, his voice laced with desperation. The old commander gave a weary sigh. You underestimated them. That was your first mistake. They never attack head-on. They never fight the way you expect. They find your weaknesses, exploit your pride, and dismantle you piece by piece. You gave them time to prepare, and now you're paying the price. Varric slammed his fist against the console. You speak as if they are invincible. They are just humans, flesh and bone. How can they possibly stand against our might? They don't fight like you or me, the commander replied. They don't abide by honor or predictable strategy. They use deception, subterfuge, and sabotage. They make you believe you're winning right up until the moment they pull the ground from under your feet. You thought you were the predator. Now look at you, trapped, crippled, and helpless. Varric's rage bubbled over. Why did you survive when the rest of your fleet perished? The old commander's expression turned hollow. Survive? That's a generous word. I live in exile, forever looking over my shoulder. They let me live to send a message, a reminder of what happens to those who cross them. I thought it was mercy, but now I see it for what it was, a warning to others, a warning you didn't heed. Before Varric could respond, proximity alarms blared, and his console displayed dozens of small craft emerging from Earth's surface. They were crude, outdated fighters by Zarnath standards, but they moved with terrifying coordination. The remnants of the fleet scrambled to form a defensive line, but their systems were still compromised. As the human fighters closed in, another transmission broke through, a message from Earth itself, broadcasting openly. We gave you a chance to leave. You didn't listen. Now we'll finish what you started. The human ships didn't fire conventional weapons. Instead, they released swarms of tiny metallic objects, drones. They latched onto the crippled Zarnath ships, burrowing into hull plating and slicing through vital systems. Explosions rippled through the remaining fleet as the drones triggered power surges and reactor meltdowns. Varric gripped the console, his mind racing. He had to do something, anything, to salvage the situation. He activated the ship's last operational thruster, trying to steer away from the incoming swarm, but it was futile. The drones found his flagship, tearing into it like a plague of metal insects. The old commander spoke one last time, his face solemn. They don't fight for conquest or glory. They fight to survive, and when survival is at stake, they have no limits. You should have run when you had the chance. The screen went dark, and Varric felt the ship shudder as the reactor core began to overload. He closed his eyes, the bitter taste of defeat choking him. He had underestimated the most dangerous trait of humanity, not their technology or numbers, but their will to fight to the bitter end. As the flagship erupted into a brilliant, searing light, Earth remained undisturbed, its defenders returning home victorious and vigilant, ready for whatever foolish invader might challenge them next. The explosion of the flagship sent a shock wave rippling through the debris field, scattering fragments of once mighty warships into the void. Earth's defenders pulled back, forming a cautious perimeter around the wreckage, scanning for any lingering threats. On the planet's surface, deep within an underground command bunker, Commander Nathan Cole watched the live feed from orbital drones, his jaw clenched tight. The holographic map in front of him flickered, showing red markers, enemy ships, disappearing one by one. An officer approached, giving a crisp salute. Sir, final confirmation just came in. The flagship has been neutralized. No enemy life signs detected. Cole allowed himself a single deep breath. Good work. Begin cleanup operations. Send salvage drones to collect what's left. We'll see if their technology is worth anything to us. The officer hesitated. And the broadcast, sir? Should we keep transmitting the warning to other sectors? Cole nodded firmly. Yes. Make sure every listening post and relay station within 100 light-years hears it loud and clear. Let them know what happened here and what will happen to anyone else who tries the same. The officer left to carry out the orders, and Cole leaned against the edge of the table, wiping a trickle of sweat from his brow. The battle might be over, but the tension remained coiled tight in his muscles. Victory always came at a price, and he knew better than to celebrate too soon. His thoughts were interrupted by a familiar voice. Colonel Marissa Holt, head of Earth's Cyber Defense Division, appeared on his comm screen. "Cole, you look like you've been through hell," she said with a faint smirk. He managed a tired smile. "I've seen worse. You did good up there, shutting down their systems before they could fire on the cities. We couldn't have done it without you." Marissa snorted. "Don't thank me yet. Those bastards had firewalls like nothing I've ever seen. Took 3 different AIs just to crack one cruiser. If they'd been faster to react, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Cole straightened. Any word on survivors? She hesitated. We picked up a few escape pods from the debris field, mostly low-ranking crew and some wounded officers. Nothing useful yet. They're being held in quarantine until we figure out how to safely interrogate them. Good, last thing we need is an outbreak of alien pathogens. Keep me updated. Marissa gave a nod, then paused, her expression darkening. Nathan, you know they'll come back, right? Maybe not the same empire, maybe not the same way, but they'll come. We just sent a pretty damn loud message to the galaxy. He rubbed his temples, knowing she was right. Yeah, but if we didn't make it loud enough, they'd just keep testing us. This way, they know the cost of messing with Earth. We survived their first invasion because they underestimated us. This time, we made sure they never forget. Marissa's eyes softened just a bit. What about the civilians? The news feeds are already spinning this as a glorious victory, but people are scared. They saw the sky light up with explosions and have no idea what really happened. Cole sighed. We'll tell them enough to feel safe. No need to go into details about how close we came to losing the whole damn planet. Let them have their victory celebration. They deserve it. Before Marissa could respond, another officer rushed into the command room, looking pale and out of breath. Sir, incoming transmission from the lunar base. Long-range sensors picked up multiple energy signatures at the edge of the system. It's another fleet, sir, bigger than the last one. Cole's heart sank, but his face remained stoic. How long until they're in range? About 2 standard days. We're estimating at least twice the firepower of the first wave. Marissa cursed under her breath. They didn't waste time sending reinforcements. Cole set his jaw, forcing himself to think clearly. Alert all defense stations and mobilize every available squadron. Deploy decoy satellites and get the orbital cannons recharged. Prepare to initiate Protocol Black Sky. We'll make them bleed for every kilometer they gain. Marissa's smirk returned, sharper and fiercer this time. Time to show them that Earth doesn't fall twice. As the command center became a flurry of activity, Cole stared at the holographic map, watching the red markers inch closer. He knew the battle ahead would be even harder than the last. Cole's heart sank, but his face remained stoic. How long until they're in range? About 2 standard days. We're estimating at least twice the firepower of the first wave. Marissa cursed under her breath. They didn't waste time sending reinforcements. Cole set his jaw, forcing himself to think clearly. Alert all defense stations and mobilize every available squadron. Deploy decoy satellites and get the orbital cannons recharged. Prepare to initiate Protocol Black Sky. We'll make them bleed for every kilometer they gain. Marissa's smirk returned, sharper and fiercer this time. Time to show them that Earth doesn't fall twice. As the command center became a flurry of activity, Cole stared at the holographic map, watching the red markers inch closer. He knew the battle ahead would be even harder than the last. The enemy had learned from their mistake, and this time they would come prepared. But humanity wasn't just sitting idle either. They had salvaged enough technology from the last invasion to bolster their defenses. They had learned, adapted, and prepared, and more importantly, they had the will to fight. Cole glanced at the old, faded flag hanging at the back of the command room, blue and green against a field of stars. Humanity wasn't just surviving anymore. They were fighting back. And this time they would make sure the galaxy understood that Earth was not a prize to be claimed. It was a fortress, unyielding, relentless, and above all, undefeated. The next 48 hours passed in a blur of frantic preparation. Commander Cole barely left the command center, catching sleep in restless bursts whenever possible. Earth's defense forces scrambled to reinforce their positions, mobilizing every available asset. The salvaged alien technology from the first invasion was being rapidly integrated into their own systems, but time was running out. Colonel Holt's voice crackled through his comm unit. Nathan, we've managed to decipher more of their communication protocols from the wreckage. It looks like they're broadcasting battle plans to each other in real time. If we can tap into that network, we might anticipate their strategy. Cole nodded. Do it. Prioritize decryption and feed whatever you find directly to tactical. He glanced at the holographic display where the new fleet, massive and far more formidable than the first, was steadily approaching the outer edge of the solar system. The energy signatures alone dwarfed their previous attackers. The Zarnath Empire was no longer underestimating them. A transmission alert blinked on his screen, and Cole opened it. An unexpected face appeared, the old commander who had warned them before. His expression was grim, his scales duller than before. "You're still alive," Cole said, raising an eyebrow. The old alien gave a bitter chuckle. "Barely, but I needed to see it for myself. The Zarnath sent their Warbringer fleet this time. Your victory stirred the hornet's nest." Cole's face hardened. "We didn't pick this fight, they came to us." "I know," the alien replied, his tone weary. "But the Warbringer fleet is different. Their sole purpose is annihilation, no conquest, no occupation. They mean to wipe you out as a lesson to others." Cole's jaw tightened. "Then we'll make it the most painful lesson they've ever learned." The old commander hesitated, something almost like respect flickering in his eyes. "You humans, you don't know when to quit. That's your curse and your strength. Listen to me carefully. They'll target your planet directly this time. They've learned from their mistake of scattering their forces. You need to make them think they're winning. Lure them in close before springing your trap." Cole nodded, understanding the strategy. "If they cluster up to bombard Earth, we can concentrate fire on their flagship and disrupt their formation." "Yes," the old commander agreed, "and use their own technology against them. I sent you the codes from my own data banks. They should help you bypass some of their defense systems. It's the only way you'll have a chance." Cole hesitated. "Why are you helping us? You could just watch us burn." The old alien's gaze fell. "I watched my own people burn for our arrogance. We thought we were unstoppable, just like the Zarnath do now. You made them bleed, and that's something no one else has managed. Maybe, just maybe, you're the ones who can finally break their hold on the galaxy." The transmission cut off abruptly, and Cole processed the data the alien had sent. It contained encryption keys and fleet formation protocols, enough to at least create a few openings. He wasted no time patching it through to Colonel Holt. "Got it," Holt replied, her fingers flying over her console. "I'll have our countermeasures ready within the hour. You thinking about baiting them into the gravity well?" "Exactly," Cole confirmed. "If they think they've got us trapped between their fleet and Earth's surface, they'll tighten their formation to maximize bombardment. That's when we hit them with everything we've got." Holt grinned. "I like it. We'll set up automated decoy ships and false energy signatures to make them think our main forces are on the ground. When they move into fire, we spring the trap." As the final preparations unfolded, Cole took a moment to stand at the observation deck, staring up at the vast, dark sky. The stars shimmered, oblivious to the chaos brewing in their midst. He couldn't help but think about the people on Earth, children playing in parks, families gathered around dinner tables, unaware of the impending threat. He couldn't let them down, not now, not after coming so far. When the Warbringer fleet finally reached the edge of Earth's orbit, they halted, spreading out into a dense, intimidating formation. Cole watched as they began to power up their main cannons, the monstrous weapons glowing with energy that could reduce entire cities to ash. "Sir," Holt reported, "they're scanning our surface installations. The decoys are working. They're locking on to the false signatures." "Hold," Cole commanded, his eyes fixed on the screen. "Let them commit. Wait for them to concentrate their fire." Seconds stretched into agonizing minutes. The Warbringer fleet continued to align, focusing on the largest decoy cluster near what appeared to be a major defense hub. Finally, the lead ship's cannons glowed white-hot, and the entire fleet synchronized, ready to unleash a planet-killing salvo. "Now," Cole shouted. Earth's orbital defense platforms roared to life, launching a coordinated barrage of energy lances and railgun slugs directly at the flagship. Simultaneously, the cloaked drone swarms surged forward, attaching to the vulnerable underbellies of the cruisers. The flagship's shields flickered and failed as the unexpected onslaught overwhelmed its power core. One well-placed railgun slug ripped through the command bridge, and the colossal ship shuddered before erupting in a massive fireball. As the flagship disintegrated, the remaining ships faltered, breaking formation in confusion. The drone swarms exploited the gaps, tearing into engines and power conduits. Several more cruisers detonated as their reactors overloaded. The Warbringer fleet, designed to conquer worlds, was now caught in a death spiral of chaos and destruction. Those that tried to retreat were intercepted by fighter squadrons and orbital turrets, mercilessly cut down as they scrambled to escape. Cole leaned back, exhaustion creeping into his bones. "Status report." Holt's voice was triumphant. Enemy fleet is in full retreat. We're mopping up stragglers. Casualties on our side are minimal. A collective cheer rose from the command center, and Cole allowed himself a faint smile. We did it, he whispered. As he watched the remnants of the once mighty fleet burn in the void, he knew that Earth had proven itself once again. They were no longer just survivors, they were defenders, and their message had been sent loud and clear. Humanity wasn't prey, they were the hunters now. The aftermath of the battle left the skies above Earth littered with debris, drifting fragments of alien ships and scorched metal raining down like silent meteors. Automated cleanup drones scoured the atmosphere, neutralizing falling wreckage before it could reach the surface. Commander Nathan Cole stood in the war room, the hum of holographic displays filling the space. Reports streamed in from every corner of the planet, confirmations of victory mixed with sobering tallies of the damage. Civilian casualties were low, but some of the orbital defense platforms had taken significant hits. Nothing irreplaceable, but the repairs would take time. Colonel Marissa Holt entered, holding a tablet. She looked worn but victorious, a fire still burning in her eyes. "Well, Nathan," she said, giving a weary grin, "congratulations. We just sent the most powerful armada in the galaxy running with their tails between their legs." Cole managed a tight smile. "We did more than that. We made a statement. They'll think twice before coming here again." Marissa's expression darkened. "If they think at all, we intercepted some of their distress signals before the fleet collapsed. They were begging for reinforcements." Cole's jaw tightened. "So this isn't over." She shook her head. "Not by a long shot. If the Zarnath Empire has any pride left, they'll be back with even more firepower. They can't afford to let this defeat stand. It threatens their entire image." He knew she was right. The Empire wouldn't just forget the humiliation. But for now, Earth had breathing room, enough to regroup, repair, and maybe even take the fight to the stars if it came to that. A beep from the console drew his attention, and the hologram shifted to show the old commander again, his face bruised and exhausted. "You did it," the alien rasped, sounding almost awed. "I watched the whole thing. They didn't stand a chance." Cole gave a curt nod. "Your intel made the difference. We couldn't have pulled it off without your codes and advice." The old commander gave a bitter chuckle. "Ironic, isn't it? I fought against the humans once, thinking you were weak and undisciplined. Now I'm helping you crush the empire I once served. The galaxy is a cruel, unpredictable place." Cole's gaze softened. "What will you do now?" A long pause stretched before the alien responded. "I've spent years running, fleeing from them from my past. Maybe it's time I stopped running. Perhaps there's a place among your people for someone who knows their ways." Cole exchanged a glance with Marissa, who shrugged. "We could use every advantage," she admitted. Cole nodded. "If you're willing to work with us, we'll find you a role. Your knowledge could save lives. Besides, you've earned a chance to make things right." The old commander gave a tired, grateful smile. "Thank you. Maybe I can finally find some peace among your kind." As the transmission ended, Marissa leaned against the console, crossing her arms. "You think he'll really help us, or is he just looking for a place to hide?" "He's got nowhere left to run," Cole replied, "and he's seen the brutality of the Empire firsthand. I think he's sincere. Besides, we need every edge we can get." Just as he was about to turn away, another alert flashed on the main screen, an incoming transmission from the outer defense grid. Cole's heart pounded as he opened it, expecting the worst. Instead, the image that appeared was unexpected, an alien delegation from a race he didn't recognize. Their leader, a slender being with deep violet skin and luminous eyes, gave a respectful nod. "This is Ambassador Thalen of the Cryon Alliance. We received your broadcast and monitored your victory against the Zarnath Warbringer fleet. On behalf of my people, I extend our admiration and an offer of alliance." Cole exchanged a shocked look with Marissa. "Alliance?" "Yes," Thalen replied. "The Zarnath have subjugated many worlds, ours included. We believed resistance was impossible until we saw your victory. If humans can stand against them, perhaps we can join forces and finally break free from their tyranny." A surge of cautious hope filled Cole's chest. "We're open to alliances," he said carefully, "but understand our priority is Earth's safety. We won't risk our people in someone else's war." Thalen inclined his head. "Understood. We seek not to use you but to stand with you. Together we can turn the tide against the Zarnath and end their reign." Your victory has given the galaxy something it hasn't seen in a long time: hope. Marissa smirked. Looks like we're not just survivors anymore, we're trendsetters. Cole couldn't help but grin. Send the ambassador our diplomatic protocols and arrange a formal meeting. Let's see just how many friends we've made today. As the hologram faded, Cole took a deep breath. Victory hadn't just saved Earth, it had sparked a fire across the galaxy. For too long, the Zarnath Empire had ruled through fear and brutality. But now, with new allies and a reputation forged in battle, humanity stood as a beacon of resistance. Looking out at the endless stars, Cole couldn't help but feel a spark of fierce pride. Earth was no longer just a vulnerable planet on the edge of the galaxy. They were warriors, defiant, unbreakable, and ready to fight for freedom. And if the Zarnath dared to return, they would find a united front waiting to tear down their empire piece by piece. The galaxy was changing, and humanity would make sure it changed for the better. Days passed since the crushing defeat of the Zarnath Warbringer fleet, and Earth's new reality began to take shape. Commander Nathan Cole found himself busier than ever, not just dealing with military logistics, but with the diplomatic fallout of their unexpected victory. Messages from countless alien factions poured in, some congratulatory, others cautiously curious. The most important of these was from the newly formed Allied Resistance, a coalition of species long oppressed by the Zarnath Empire. Cole found himself sitting in a hastily arranged meeting room deep within the command bunker, facing holographic projections of alien leaders from a dozen worlds. Ambassador Thalen of the Cryon Alliance took the lead, his calm, almost musical voice addressing the room. "Humanity's triumph has given us the spark we needed to organize," he said, his glowing eyes reflecting a new determination. "But make no mistake, the Zarnath Empire is rallying its forces. Our intelligence suggests they are gathering at their central command hub, preparing for a counterattack that could dwarf anything we've seen before." Cole leaned forward. "Do we have any estimate on their numbers or fleet composition?" An alien chieftain from a feline-like species called the Brax growled lowly. "They've called upon their entire core navy, battle cruisers, dreadnoughts, and carrier swarms. They aim to crush Earth and make an example of it. If they succeed, every world that thought of rebelling will be wiped out." The room fell into a tense silence. Marissa Holt, sitting beside Cole, glanced his way, her expression grim. "We can't hold against that kind of force alone," she whispered. Cole cleared his throat, addressing the gathered leaders. "Earth might have fought them off twice, but we're not arrogant enough to think we can hold against the entire Zarnath Navy. If we're going to survive, we need to hit them before they hit us. Catch them off guard and take out their command hub." A murmuring chorus of concern echoed through the room. One of the Cryon strategists raised a spindly hand. "Directly attacking their hub would be suicide," it said. "The defenses are monumental. No single fleet has ever breached their core territory." Cole's gaze hardened. "Then we don't fight their whole fleet. We create chaos, make them think their empire is crumbling, spread disinformation, sabotage their communication networks, and hit secondary targets to divide their forces. Once they're scattered and vulnerable, we strike the hub." Thalen looked thoughtful. "You want to incite panic and confusion, a tactic the Zarnath never use because they rely on overwhelming power and intimidation." Marissa smirked. "It's what humans do best, turning an enemy's own arrogance against them." After a long, tense pause, the Brax chieftain let out a harsh laugh. "You are bold human, I like it. My warriors are tired of living as slaves and outcasts. Let us make them fear our claws once more." One by one, the other leaders nodded, some more hesitantly than others, but it was clear that Cole's plan had sparked something within them, a willingness to fight back rather than wait to be crushed. As the meeting ended, Marissa pulled Cole aside. "You sure about this? We're basically throwing a grenade into the heart of the Empire and hoping it explodes the way we want." He gave her a wry smile. "It's risky, but we've already proven that conventional warfare doesn't work against them. We need to hit them where they're weak, right at the heart of their pride." Before Marissa could respond, an aide rushed over, eyes wide. "Commander, you need to see this. An encrypted transmission just came through from the Zarnath Central Command." Cole's brow furrowed. "Patch it through to my terminal,"